how would you describe Flint these days compared to the place you grew up in?
I grew up on the decline, so
Yeah.
it's not, I'm not old enough yet to know the good old days. So when I was born, the auto industry was moving out. And then once the auto industry got packed up and moved out and the economy completely tanked and it was poor and dangerous, then the water thing happened. So
Hmm.
it's just been one fun time after another. So it's been about 12 or 13 years since the water stuff. I'm not trying to keep talking about it because no one seems to care, never did
Yeah.
in the first place. But I'm just staying tuned for the next scandal.
Well, what a fun thing to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of novelty.
Mate, you popped up, King 810 popped up on my radar about 10 years ago when
Okay.
you probably know where I'm going with this, that a news story broke that one of your concerts had been cancelled. And I found out that it's because you guys had, had guys at the low ready with long guns on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who grew up in Australia, that's, where they got rid of most of the guns when I was 11 years old because we had our first mass shooting here. It's just not part of our world, and it seemed a bit
Mm.
kind of shocking to outsiders looking at Americans. Did that lead to a lot of misconceptions about your band?
I think so. Yeah. Not that I regret it or care, but hmm, how would I put it? I kind of had my brain just reset, probably because I've been trying to think of a clever way to answer it because so many
Yeah.
people have asked. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's kind of proof of in your question, right? That it's lingered for that long,
Mm.
which means we're not really doing enough because you should have something newer. We should be giving you something newer to mention. But if you have to go back that far,
Yeah.
not only do I just feel ancient, but also I feel like maybe I'm not making enough noise. So now you're pushing me and forcing me to do something drastic again, which is not a good thing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But don't worry, it's not going to be possible soon because our country's going the same way yours is if you haven't uh, paid any attention. So pretty soon, I'll be put in thought prison for thought crimes against humanity, and the world will be a better place.
Do you think America is, I mean, America talks a lot about freedom, but I mean, really, what does that even mean these days? When you compare, they say American freedom versus Australian freedom, we're all getting fucked. What makes your brand of freedom better? This is not an indictment. This is just a conversation.
I don't take offense for it. I don't happen to be a spokesperson for the United States, so
Yeah.
I think it's an abstraction and it's a concept that maybe a group full of guys that came over here 300 years ago had in mind.
Mm.
But as industry does, it's chipped away at that so much that it is an abstraction, I think. I think it's an idea or even a facade, I would say.
Mm. Because it's like
And
free to do, they keep saying that word, and I'm like, okay, but free to do what? Like,
free to be, the most surveilled, most financially exhausted, most propagandized and targeted, um, most taken advantage of by its own government. Uh, freedom, that type of freedom.
it's nuts, isn't it? Uh,
Yeah.
it when you are so the obviously people who the topic of guns comes up with your country and whatnot. But when you so my understanding was what you guys were attempting to achieve on stage, with weaponry was to protect the audience, or give the audience a degree of feeling safety in the age of mass shootings. Um, or is
I
that
like that.
that's how it was explained? I don't know. What was it merely as a thematic or as an aesthetic thing, or was there an actual practical purpose?
I think it was I think there could be a handful of reasons. It wasn't necessarily we didn't get together and think this is going to be security. We
Mm,
already had all that stuff as well. So I guess if an Eagles of Death metal scenario
mm,
happened, then that would have been sorted out a little bit quicker. But no, it was more theatrical show at
Yeah.
that was the first thought to kind of give a visual element of what the music and life was looking like, just because when you go to a show and watch bands, I don't know how you feel, but it's always pretty boring to me
Mhm.
these days.
So it was kind of like a black metal element of just adding some pizzazz and some shock value
Hmm.
to say, yeah,
Some pizzazz. I like the pizzazz.
pizzazz. You want,
Although everyone would be rolling over in their graves if you likened it to black metal,
I
because
know,
that's a mortal sin.
right? Have I? I wonder how many people I've offended by using someone holding an AK-47 and describing it as pizzazz.
That's good. No, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
7.62 millimeter pizzazz.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Mate, you are touring Australia with DREGG and the Gloom in the Corner. What was the genesis of this tour? How long have you been wanting to come back here? Did you have a say in picking these bands? Tell me about it.
Yeah, we met on the last run.
Yeah.
So we just said we'd like to come back and, do some things a little bit sooner this time, because the first time we were over was Soundwave, and that was in 14, I think,
Yeah.
something like that. And then it was about 10 years before we came back, about a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
So we were trying to come back sooner, not make it another 10 years, and uh, met those guys, stayed in touch, and
Yeah.
then tried to follow up a little bit quicker this time, because we thought everyone would basically forget about us.
Yeah.
But apparently they didn't, and the crowds were good and everything was good. So we thought it might be a good idea to come back sooner than the 10 year. So
Yeah.
here we are.
So what can you tell me about the album that's in the works?
Well, we made 3 albums this past year, which is pretty crazy. We did them all live in a studio in a room at one time, jamming all three of them. They're a little bit different. We had about 50 people audience in the studio each time. So some albums took longer than others, but we did them in a few hours, just playing through, not overdubbing or editing or doing anything, kind of like the old days. So it's a trilogy, Rust Belt Nu Metal 1, 2, and 3. The third one's coming out right now. So, and it's also not really nu metal. This third one's an acoustic one, but this is just part of the trilogy. You're gonna have to deal with it, and too bad, you know. But we thought it was a pretty cool idea. Hadn't seen too many people do something like that, especially having an audience in the studio and recording live. I think mostly because bands can't really play anymore. It's just a laptop and they like to fucking get up there and pantomime. But that would be pretty, cool to do for a handful of fans. And also putting out 3 records in a year is, I, maybe they appreciate it or maybe they're sick of it. I don't really know. I haven't really checked in with them.
Yeah. So this is going to sound potentially silly, but just as someone who has, you're growing up in Flint, you've had brushes with the law more, on more than one occasion. What advice would you give to someone who is having that moment of realization? Oh my God, I'm about to be arrested for the first time. If you could replay that for you, what tips would you give yourself?
The same tip that I always did, which was run.
Oh,
Which
I was expecting shut up.
no, I don't think about shutting my mouth. That's automatic. But the first thing that you think of is not even having a chance to shut or open your mouth. You just get away, of
Yeah,
course. But I wouldn't suggest anyone else do that. That's my own advice to myself.
yeah. So cardio
And
helped in the early days.
you get your cardio up, you get your 40 meter, you get everything in together, you stay in good shape, you eat right, make all the right choices, you get a lot of sleep, you do all that stuff, you hit the gym, you run a lot, and then that way when it comes time to get arrested, it's all the more difficult.
Do you know the band Bob Villain? the rap group, they recently got in shit for Glastonbury. It was a thing about Gaza and Israel. So it's a two-man kind of punk rap project from the UK. But they have a song
Okay.
called Health is Wealth, where they're talking about making healthy choices, and because they hate the police. It's like, now you've got to remember, a pig can't beat what a pig can't catch. So it's all
Exactly.
about, if you keep your cardio up, you'll be able to run from the police longer.
Yeah, you have to be ready. You have to be kitted out. You know what I mean? You wear your belt and your pants. Don't wear the big pants or the boots or the whatever. Get your trainers. Be very slippery and hard to grab and be, these types of, you know, survival things.
Yeah. Police are coming, better lard up. Just cover yourself in a bit of grease.
Yeah, yeah.
David, this has been fun, mate. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to get
Anytime.
out of your hair.
Cool.
And yeah, mate, be good to yourself. We'll see you in Brisbane.
You as well. I'll see you
All right.
soon.